What's up, guys? Today we are going to be making this absolutely gorgeous bonnet. This will surely impress your friends and clients because this is such a beautiful stitch here. We'll be starting with the seed stitch and then going into a regular knit stitch, but we're going to add some extra things to it, which I'll show you in the video. So for this project, we are going to need, I'm using size 9 knitting needles, and you can get a pack with these and tons of them on Amazon for pretty cheap, about 15 bucks. We will need a yarn needle for the end when we do our circle and weave in, and it doesn't really matter what size. We'll need a crochet hook. This one is 5.25 millimeter, but just use whatever you can. You may not even need one. We're just going to pull stuff through when we have additional things we need to pull through. Since this is a difficult pattern to do, sometimes we'll need to just pull the yarn through. You'll obviously need some scissors to cut with. And the yarn I used was the Baby Bee Sweet Delight flannel. This was the flannel. We'll be using two different colors today, a teal and a darker gray together. And it says that you're supposed to use 4 millimeter knitting needles, but since we're going to be doing double stranded, we're going to use 9. And then this is a size 3 light yarn as far as the gauge goes. So yeah, that's pretty much all we need to start. Okay guys, we are actually going to be using 2 skeins of the Sweet Delight in whatever colors you want. For the tutorial, and what I recommend for you is if you haven't used 2 skeins at one time, 2 strands at one time, I recommend 2 different colors so you make sure that it's just easier not to get lost. So I'm going to show you with 2 different colors. I'll be sure to put links to the materials down below in the box, and we shall get started. Okay, so we have our 2 strands from each respective skein of yarn, and what we're going to do is cast on 33 stitches with the long tail stretchy cast on method. So we're going to take 3 or 4 feet of yarn for our tail, and then we're going to cast on. So we take our needles, do our long tail method the same way as if we had 1 needle, make our V here, upside down V, turn it into a diamond, go underneath the yarn closest to us on our thumb, underneath the yarn closest to us on our pointer finger, and through. And if you want a more in-depth method on doing that, a more in-depth tutorial, I'll put a link up in the right hand side. So we're going to cast on 33 of these. We have 2. Okay, so we are actually going to start with the seed stitch, and we're going to do 4 rows of the seed stitch. So if you don't know what the seed stitch is, check it out in this video here. Okay, so now we've got 4 rows of seed stitch and 2 rows of stockinette stitch. Now we are going to start on our crazy pattern. Basically, to start our beautiful pattern, we are going to start with 1 knit stitch, sorry guys, the way I have to hold this to actually be in the camera messes me up. Alright, so we got 1 knit stitch, alright? Then we are going to count. Okay, so we're going to have 3 in our pattern. So we're going to go 1, 2, and then we're going to count down, all right? We're going to count 3 stitches down, keep the yarn in the back. 1, 2, and then 3 is hard to see here because we did our seed stitch, but 1, 2, and then 3 is right here in the middle. We're going to put our needle in there. We're going to take our yarn and we're going to pull it to the front. Okay, just like that, and we're going to pull up to make it long. So we went 3 down, 1, 2, 3 stitches down, and I'll show you again the next time, the next one. Then we're just going to knit 3 across. 1, 2, oops, my yarn all twisted, 2, and then 3. Okay, then we're going to go back through that same hole to make the V type section here. So this is where a crochet hook comes in handy too. If it's hard for you with your hands to do this with your knitting needles, then you can use your crochet hook. So basically we go in here, the same hole that we did our long ones with, we will pull the yarn through there. So you can try it with your knitting needle as well. Okay, I am not doing very well. What's going on? Okay, let's get this tail out of the way. Pull it through there. And then you just pull it through here, the same hole. Oopsie, everything's falling off. Let's put it back on. Okay, there's that one, and there's this one. Now at this point, you're going to want to make the yarn a little bit longer than that, so just pull it through there, okay? And as you can see, this V is now complete. And this is the basic pattern. So I like my ends to be a knit. And we do our yarn through, knit 1, 2, 3 over, and then we do our yarn through once again. So let's do this again. Now that we are in between our V's, we do a purl stitch. So we bring the yarn to the front and we do a purl stitch, all right? Now we're going to do another V. So we're going to count over 1, 2, and then we're going to count down 1, 2, and then 3 is right down here. So we take our needle from the front into the back and we pull our yarn through and up, okay? Then we knit 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, now we're going to make our next section to make our V. Remember, we use the same hole that we have put that in. Take our needle in and pull that yarn through. And we make sure that it's nice and long, not too long, but nice and long. And then we go back to our purl because we're in between. Okay, so now it's time to make our V again. So we count over 1, 2, and then we count down by 3. 1, 2, 3. So we go in here, grab our yarn, pull it to the front. Now we knit 3, 1, 2, see, 3, okay, and now we make the other side of our V by going in, make that a little bit looser, by going in the same hole as the first time, grab our yarn, and pull it through, make our V a little bit looser. Now it's time to purl the next stitch. So we purl, okay? Time for our next V. We count over, 1, 2, we count down, 1, 2. I'm trying to make sure that I'm able to show you guys exactly where you're supposed to be doing this. So there's 1 stitch, 2 stitch here, 3 stitch. So we're going to go into the 3rd stitch. Give you as many angles as possible, close, farther away. And we pull that through. Okay. Then we're going to knit 3 across. Knit, knit, knit. Okay. Then we're going to go in once again, that same stitch. Now this is where it gets hard, where your needles kind of start to get in the middle. It's hard to get one needle in and one needle out. This is kind of where I like to use the crochet hook because on the ends it's a little easier. Just stick it in, and one day I'm going to figure out how to knit with my hook or something. I don't know, because some of these patterns that I'm really liking to create here are more intricate. So there's that, and then we go back to our purl. Okay, time for our next section. So we count over, 1, 2, down, 1, 2, 3, and pull through. Okay, now we're going to knit 1, 2, 3. Oh, geez. Okay. Now we are going to get our crochet hook and pull through. There we go. And now it's time to purl. Once we're done with that set. So anyway, you're going to finish this across. So you'd make your next one would be a big V, knit, 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 V, purl, V, knit, 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 V, purl, V, knit, 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 V, and then you actually knit your last stitch. And then meet me back here and I'll show you how we purl the back. Okay, so now we are on the back row and we are going to start our purling. And I just wanted to show you visually before we start this. So we are actually going to purl, this is 1, even though of course it's 2 strands, it counts as 1. We'll purl 1 since that was a knit on the front side. Then we're going to purl 2 together. So the 2 together is actually these 4 strands but 2 stitches. Then we're going to purl the middle stitch. Then we're going to purl 2 together again. So then we're going to do a knit stitch in the next section here because we purled the front. Then we start again with purling 2 together. It's not purling 1 because we're just purling the one from the beginning. So like at the end, of course, we would go into our purling 2 together here and then purling the 1 at the end. So let's start here. So we're going to purl our 1. Then we're going to purl our 2 together. So basically we're doing that since we added a stitch when we made our V's. We have to purl it together on the back to have the same amount of stitches. Then we purl the 1 that was in the middle there by itself, and then we purl the 2 together. And as long as you've knit loosely, this shouldn't be too hard. Then we knit, then we're going to purl the 2 together, purl the 1, purl the 2 together, knit, and we do that all the way across, like I said, until we get to the end, where of course we just purl our last stitch. Then when we start on our next row, row 9, we are going to do the same thing we did on row 7 where we made our V's, except when we go 3 down, you'll see it right above your other one. So let's purl this row and then I'll show you the first one of the next row, row 9, and then we will knit 4.5 inches. Okay guys, so we are now on row 9 and we're going to do the same thing as row 7. It just looks differently now that we've already started a V. So as you can see, we're going to knit the first one, then we're going to make our V. And where we're going to make our V is like we counted over before. We count 1, 2 over, 1, 2, 3 down. So 1, 2, 3, and it's a little harder to see because things are squunched together now, but it's easier to see because you see where the V was on the last one. So I'm not going to knit this whole row on camera. I'm just going to knit the first section, and then I want to show you how we measure to get to the next step. So we knit, okay, count over 1, 2, count down 1, 2, 3, and there, pull it through, get loose, knit 1, 2, 3, okay, and then in the same hole that we did that, we're going, our first section of our V, we're going to pull our yarn through that same hole just as before, pull it up, okay, oops, all right, and then here is our purl section, okay. So basically we are going to knit for 4.5 inches up. So from here to here is going to need to be 4.5 inches, and then meet me back here and we will start our decrease rows. Okay guys, so now we have about 4.5 inches. So we are going to start our decrease rows. So we're going to end with the knit row so we can start with a purl. Okay guys, so now we are going to decrease. We're going to purl this one, so because we had our little lining row, we're just going to purl it by itself. Okay. Then we are going to purl 2 together. So the 2 that we had making our little V shape here. Let's fix that right here. So we're going to purl those 2 together, just like if we were doing it regularly, our regular back row. Okay. Then we're going to purl 1. Okay. Then we're going to purl 3 together. So the middle row that we would knit on the back side and purl on the front side, we're actually going to purl in together with this that we normally purl as 1. So we're going to purl it all in together as 3. So purl the 3 together. Perfect. Then we're going to purl 2 together again, just like we would before, just like we would before. And then we're going to purl 1, just like before. And then we're going to purl 3 together again. Sorry, I was just fixing that. Okay. Purl 2 together. Purl 1. And then purl 3 together. Oops, make sure I go through all of it correctly. Okay, purl 2 together, purl 1, purl 3 together. Purl 2 together, purl 1, purl 3 together. Purl 2 together, purl 1, purl 3 together. Purl 2 together, oops, 2 together, purl 1, what's going on with my yarn? What is that? Okay. And then purl 2, 3 together. Oops. Okay. Purl 2 together. Purl 2 together. The reason is because we are at the end here. And then just purl, oopsie, purl the last one. Okay. Okay. So now we've taken out our purl row where we were purling on the front. So I'm just going to give a quick overview of how we're going to knit and then I'll show you. We're going to knit the 1, then we're going to do our V in the middle, and you can see it's still there just because we got rid of the purl. You can see the 1, 2, and the 3 still there where we're going to continue with our pattern. So we knit the 1, then we do our big V, then we knit, 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 those 3. Then we do our V again. And then instead of doing purling or knitting or anything, that's when we start our big V again. So the V's will just be right beside one another on this row. So we're going to knit. Oops. Okay. Then we're going to do our V. So 1, 2, 3, down there. Okay. Then we're going to knit 3. Man, this is a lot easier when I'm on camera showing people how to do it. All right, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Then we're going to make our V. So we're going to go into this one. Pull our yarn up. And there's our V. And like I said, instead of purling, we're actually going to go straight into the next V. So what I'm doing is just pushing my finger behind the hole to pull it out. This seems to work very well, actually. And now we head into our next V. So you're going to finish this row out the same way we started, and then of course end with our knit stitch right at the end. Meet me back here and we will continue with our decreasing at that point. Okay guys, so this is what it looks like now that we've gotten rid of the middle section here, but it's not going to be visible once we tie our bonnet up at the end. So now we are going to our next decreasing row. We're almost done here, guys. So we're going to do 1 purl at the beginning to keep our little edging we have. Then we're going to purl 3 together. 1, 2, 3. Make sure I got in there right. Okay. Then we're going to purl 2 together. Looks like I messed that one up, but I think it's, no, I messed that one up. So I'm going to actually, you see guys where I have this tiny little strand here? It should be the whole thing. I'm actually going to fix that right quick. I'm going to pull the whole thing over there and then put this stitch back on there. Okay. So we're at purl 2 together. Yes. Let's see, purl 3 together, purl 2 together. Yes. Okay. Then we're going to purl 3 together again. 1, 2, 3. Then we are going to purl 2 together. Okay. Purl 3 together. Purl 2 together. This guy's going over here. Fix that. All right, purl 2 together. Purl 3 together. Purl 2 together. Getting yarn stuck around. purl 3 together, purl 2 together, purl 3 together, purl 2 together, purl 3 together, 2 together, purl 3 together, purl 2 together, and then purl 1. Okay. Alright guys, for our next row we're going to knit 1. Alright. Then we are going to do our V. So we look down in here. Now it's a little more difficult to see since we have only 2 here in our V. We just look the stitch above the last stitch will be the easiest way to find where our V is going to go. And then we just go right down in there, take our yarn, pull it through. Okay. Then we're going to knit 2 instead of 3. So 1 and 2. Okay. Then we make our V again. Let's find it. Okay. Then we make our V again. So here it is, the stitch above. Okay. Grab our yarn, pull it through. Then knit 2, 1, 2. Then we make our the end of our V. Okay. All right, so the rest of the row is the same way. Our first section of our V, knit, knit, second section of our V, all the way down until of course we get to our last knit stitch. Meet me back here and we will do our next decrease row. All right guys, you made it. At this point we are at our last decrease row. We are going to purl 1. So basically we are going to purl 4 together. 1, 2, 3, 4, because it's 1 V per purl, basically is what we're doing. So just make sure and get it in there right. And through. All right. Next V. And next V. Next V. Next V. Next V. Oops. Next V. Next V. Last V. What's going on with that? And our last stitch, we're going to purl. There we go. Look how pretty it is. I know you guys are like, so glad to be done with that. I know I am. It seems even more difficult for me knitting in this position that I'm having to knit and film in. So when I'm actually sitting on my couch and knitting, it's not as difficult. So, and I'm sure you guys will see that too. Like I fumble a lot here, but when you are doing it, you definitely won't fumble as much once you get going. So now the last thing we have to do, now on this one I actually did a purlwise bind off on, and I don't really think that is necessary. So what we are going to do is take and cut about, let's just say 3 feet, just to make sure we have enough. Put it on our yarn needle. And then we're just going to take and put it all off of here. Put them all onto the yarn needle. Make sure I got it not all messed up. Could you imagine having it perfectly done till the end and then you go splitting your yarn up? And pull this through. Okay. Now we're going to turn it inside out for this part because we are actually going to stitch it up. Now pull it tight so we have our little circle pulled up tight. See right there. Okay. Then since we had the trimming, we used knit stitches on the edges. We're actually going to use that to sew up. And we may have to start a little bit before that too, but make sure your edges match up really good. And you're going to sew about 1 inch to 1.5 inches. Luckily this part's in the back so it doesn't have to be perfect because this is one of the parts I am really not that good at. I really don't know why, I just am not. So okay, that seems to be doing a pretty good bit. So I'm just actually going to stitch this into here because I want to make a knot. So put it through here, just like that. Okay, and then I'm going to actually tie another, kind of like a keep it on there. Now we are going to take and just thread in a little bit our tail here. Okay, just kind of keep it a little tail. Okay, and then I just kind of pull it out loose a little bit, and then we're going to cut. So we have that, and we have our bonnet. Look how beautiful it is, guys. I love this color scheme too. I'm so happy I chose it. So here's the back. Here's our little, where we tied it up. I might have gone a little tighter on that. I think it could have been a little tighter, but nobody's going to see the back of this, so I'm not too upset. This is what that looks like. And poof it out a little bit. That's going to be so cute. So now we need to make our tails. Now, you can also add like little buttons here, like as embellishment. Let's see what that looks like. Let's see, so we can make these boyish or girl, oh look, look how adorable that is. So we can make these boyish, girlish, unisex, depending on the color of yarns we use. That's adorable. I think that looks cute. Look, let's see. So here's the gray with the cute little white flower. And there's the gray, dark gray and teal with the brown. That's adorable. So, I mean, there's a lot of different things you could do to personalize and customize these to make them your own. But the way I made these, I didn't do anything special. I think these bonnets can be cute as is like that, or they can be dressed up. But if I was going to dress this up with ribbon in here, I think I would weave ribbon in here as well, which is an idea, it's a thought. Or you can actually use your crochet hook and you can make chains coming down like we have on the other bonnets before. I just didn't think chains would look as good because of the enormous amount of detail that we have here. The chain would just kind of look like dressed down in a way that didn't make sense. I don't know. So basically for these, I just wanted to kind of match the detail we have, which is why I have a few strands coming down instead of chains. But all I did was, well, oh, first we need to sew this in. So let's sew this in. Okay, I'm gonna sew this way. Actually, because I don't want it to be seen anywhere. Just sew it over a little bit as well. There we go. Okay, then I'm going to cut this off. Okay, so now we are going to add our strands. And basically, I think I'm going to use the same length. I like this length of these. So take one time here, and then one time again. Okay. So I'll need to do 1, 2, 3, 4 of these, and these are about 4 feet long. No, maybe 3 feet long. Okay, so I got 2 for one side and 2 for the other side. I'm just going to get my crochet hook here and put it right through there. Just pull them through. Make them about the same length. And do the other side here. We put our crochet hook through. And then we pull our strands through. And just match the ends up. And you can tie them if you want to just kind of hold them in place in here, but I think when you actually photograph a newborn baby, you might actually not want to tie it up here just because I don't think it's going to look as good like that. Unless maybe, well, I guess it won't be visible if it's pulled, but I mean, it's really up to you how you do that if you even use this method. And like I said, you could use ribbon along with strands and make it really, really pretty like that. Just imagine if you had some ribbon woven through and then ribbon coming down with these strands. I think that'd be really, really pretty. I could put the button here. So guys, I hope this helped you out and you're able to make this. If not, I might actually sell them, but they'll be kind of expensive because this is kind of labor intensive knitting. So just reach out and ask me if you actually decide you don't want to knit this. But I will put a pattern that you can purchase as well in the bottom if this was kind of hard to follow along with. But yeah, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out and I'll try and get back to you. Also, if you find my videos helpful, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell for notifications. And I'll see you guys next time.